Hi everyone, my name is Terry and welcome to Friday Fact Day. This is my little corner of the internet where every week I get to tell you about some of my work in fitness, feminism, and philosophy. And today's fact is I spend a lot of time on this channel talking about what fitness is, and today I'm going to talk to you about what fitness isn't. The reason I want to take a moment here to define what fitness isn't is because that's actually what I spend a lot of my time doing at work when I'm in the gym working as a trainer or I'm on the floor teaching a fitness class. So the first important thing that I want everybody to understand is that fitness or exercise isn't the same thing as sport. For some folks, that's going to be like, yeah, obviously, okay, fine. But for other people, the difference between the two isn't particularly clear. And that can create a lot of problems for people who, for whatever reason, couldn't access or had struggles in participation in sport, especially from when we were young. For a lot of us, our first introduction to exercise activities were sport-based activities in school phys ed or community sport programs. And maybe because we were younger, we didn't understand the difference, or maybe because it was just gym class, we weren't explained the difference. But exercise is something that can be done by anybody with no equipment if necessary, and is done for your personal outcomes. Sport is a different story. Sport, no matter what anybody's going to tell you, is ultimately about learning the skills to succeed in that sport, to score goals or to gain points if it's a judged sport or any sort of thing like that. I'm not saying there's not judgment in exercise. There's judgy people everywhere, but in exercise in its own right, there is no scoring system. You either do it and you get outcomes that you want, or you don't do it and you don't get the outcomes that you want. But when we exercise for the sake of the fitness outcomes, the health benefits that we want, maybe the aesthetic appearance benefits that we want, when we're exercising for those reasons, there's no scoring. Whereas in a sport, you might do all kinds of physical exercise. You might get your heart pumping and a good sweat going, and you might build muscle and you might stretch, and all kinds of those elements are there. But you're not really doing them necessarily for your own health. You're doing them to improve your chances of winning at that sport. Now, I know there's non-competitive community level versions of all those sports out there. And some of those people who participate in those activities are going to argue with me on this. But the fact of the matter is, you're there to play a game or score points or whatever the objective is. You're there to put the puck in the net. You're there to get the ball over the net, whatever. There's other sports that don't involve nets. I don't know. I'm not a sports person, whatever. And really, as much as a lot of people say, oh, I don't care if I win. Yeah. Do you really though? I mean, you want to win sometimes, right? If you lose every single time, if you fail to successfully score a goal or get a point every time you practice, how long are you going to be motivated to stay in that sport? I don't think most people would do it for very long. Moving into the classroom here for a little bit, I want to break down why fitness or fitness classes are not dance. So first of all, I want to be really clear. Don't feel bad or beat yourself up if you can't see the difference between a fitness class or an aerobics class and a dance class, because they are in fact really similar. There's a lot of overlap there, and they actually come from the same origins. The earliest fitness instructors were quite often dancers, or maybe they were cheerleaders or gymnasts or other people who had sport and recreation training that involved movement to music. So they come from the same roots, and they still look a lot alike, and they still sound alike. We use a lot of the same terminology, and we also design certain fitness classes to be based on certain dance formats, like ballet bar, for example. So the important thing to understand here is that dance ultimately is meant to be an art form. And yes, you, again, are getting some physical exercise. You are hopefully getting a sweat, getting your heart rate up, building strength, gaining flexibility, all of those same things. But because dance is an art form, like sport, you're training and you're practicing or rehearsing to perform that piece of art. And that's the goal or the purpose of the activity. The activities are not necessarily designed, again, like sport, to do what is best for the body, to make the body a healthier unit. One of the most noticeable or distinct differences between dance and fitness, and I have been a professional dancer and dance instructor, so I've actually been on both sides of this equation, is that in fitness, when I choreograph something for a class, I do everything in equal amounts, and I do it equally on both sides of the body. So if we're doing, say, maybe a side crunch or something like that, I'll do it, say, 8 times on the right side, and then I'll do it 8 times on the left side. When I'm choreographing something that's a piece of art for dance, I'm not necessarily going to do that. We may do a particular move all on the right side of the body and never revisit it again on the left side, because it's about the overall look or the story that's being told with the dance piece. It's not about making sure the body is worked in equal parts. And the other big difference with fitness is that everything is exactly to the beat of the music, and the beat of the music is regulated, and it's very specific to basically the heart rate we want to generate. I'll put another link to another video down here because I already talked about how we use music in fitness. It's there for very mathematical reasons. When we do choreography for dance, the music isn't always going to be the same beat. In fact, it's better if it's not, if it has some changes in it. It's more visually interesting. And it's not always going to be the same moves at the same part of the song, and so on and so on. So there's a lot more variety for the eyes as somebody watching a piece of dance. But it's, again, not necessarily training the body equally on both sides, and it's not necessarily doing equal amounts of every particular type of exercise activity. And finally, I want to bring up one more point, and that is that exercise or fitness as an activity isn't necessarily weight loss. Have a moment with that. Take a moment. I get asked this a lot. How is it that I can do feminist academic work and try to create a feminist fitness environment when it's all about body size, and isn't that anti-feminist? No, because here's the thing. It's not ultimately about body size. One of the biggest misconceptions I deal with is that I'm some kind of weight loss expert. And I'm not. Absolutely not. Now, some trainers are. Some trainers go and do certain courses or extra certifications, or they spend their time researching all about weight loss, and they work almost entirely with weight loss clients. But not every trainer does, and not every client is in the gym or in the classroom because of weight loss goals. Now, a lot of people are. There's a lot of marketing and there's a lot of social pressure out there, and social media pressure, of course, these days as well, to be a certain size and shape. And exercise can have some effect on that. It can't do everything, but it can do a few good things if that's what you're there for. But ultimately, what most of us are trained to do as exercise educators, and this is why I use the term exercise educators, is to teach you how to do exercises that are safe and effective, hopefully fun, if I can get that in there. I shoehorn a bit of that in as best I can, and that give you the health outcomes that you want. And maybe weight loss is one of them, but it doesn't have to be. And quite frankly, the majority of us, especially those of us who've stayed in this industry more than a couple of years, are not particularly interested in making you lose a ton of weight. Promising you weight loss from fitness activities is really part of the marketing that most fitness facilities do to get you in the door. And then once we get you in there, we really try to focus your attention on all the other health aspects that fitness can give you, and take your focus a little bit off of weight loss, because it's not really something that we're going to have a huge effect on. Even if you do lose a bunch of weight, you still need to exercise. You still need to get your body up and moving for all the other benefits that come from it, including improved sleep, by the way, which I always say, people say, what's the number one thing that fitness does for you? And I'm like, better sleep. I sleep like a teenager. I don't know anybody else my age who does. My other favorite reason is to gain muscle and functionality that comes with that. And I realized, I tell this story a lot, so I'm sorry if you've heard this before, but I realized how much of a positive difference exercise, and particularly weight training, was making in my life the day I went in to a store we have here in Canada called Canadian Tire, which, as you can tell by the name, sells stuff for cars. And I went in because they had windshield washer fluid in the big 8-liter jugs, the really big ones, on sale. And it used to take all my strength to lift one of those. And I reached up, I took 2 of those off the shelf, I took them down, and I started walking towards the checkout. And I wasn't struggling to carry them, I was just walking totally normally. And I stopped halfway to the checkout and went, oh my God. Oh my God. So for me, the strength training isn't always about what you look like. It's about things like functional tasks and the convenience of being able to carry 2 bottles of washer fluid at one time, or the independence of not having to rely on help for that, and being able to do more things in my day-to-day life that I couldn't do if I hadn't, first of all, correctly learned how to use my arms and shoulders to lift and walk with a heavy weight, but also to gain the strength over time to be able to do that without it being burdensome to me or making me sore the next day in a way that just made everything simpler for me. Those are all things that have nothing to do with weight loss or body shape. It's about functionality, it's about independence, it's about convenience in your life, and it's about feeling good and sleeping well and all those other things that come along with it. That's why exercise and weight loss, while they again cross over a lot, just like there's exercise and sport crossover, there's exercise and dance crossover, they're not all the same thing. And you can exercise for many, many reasons besides fitting in a smaller pair of pants or looking like the model on Instagram. And by the way, just a little tip from me, if you work out for reasons that have nothing to do with weight loss, you're more likely to enjoy your workouts. So, as I always say, lift heavy, fight the patriarchy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.